Welcome to Your Wealth Matters. I am Maria Dawes, Portfolio Manager at Capstone Asset Management, and today I am joined by my fellow Portfolio Manager on the Private Wealth team, Janet Kimsing. Hi, Janet. Today, we're discussing some of the current challenges and trends that we're seeing as portfolio managers and how perhaps we could deal with them. So, Janet, welcome, and why don't you kick us off with some of this information from this discussion?
Hi, Maria. I'm happy to be here. And yes, let's talk about some of the trends and challenges we see right now in our practice. I will say for me, one of the biggest challenges I feel that is facing the average Canadian still has to be inflation. And I don't even know what the exact latest number is, but the truth is that food costs are higher, gas prices are higher, and people's mortgage payments for those on variable mortgages are substantially higher. So that's the challenge. And I will say it seems to be affecting the younger, perhaps less financially established generations more than the older generations. And that means we need to be all the more cautious and prudent in our investment approach, finding that balance of having enough to live day by day, but also saving up for the future, because although we expect inflation to come down, we always do need to be prepared. So making sure we are reassessing our financial situation as needed in these dynamic times and planning accordingly. So I said challenges and trends earlier on because this challenge that has presented itself with the younger population has led to a bit of a trend that we've seen. Maria, do you want to discuss this?
Yeah, so one of the things I've certainly seen a fair amount of is early gifting of inheritance. Now, you may know the saying, do your giving while you're living, so you're knowing where it's going. And this isn't just pertaining to charitable gifting. More and more, we are seeing parents giving financial gifts to their adult children while they need it, perhaps in order to put a down payment for a house or seed money to start a business. So we've seen this quite often for the last few years now. But of course, any parent's ability to do this depends on their own financial health. And that leads to another challenge that we've seen.
Yes, and that is as we've seen detached home prices increase astronomically over the years. Disclaimer, we're not realtors, nor are we real estate experts, but this has caused a subsequent influx into the townhome and also condo market. So perhaps 5 to 10 years ago, you could sell your home for maybe 1.5 million, get into a nice townhome for maybe 500 or 600,000, leaving you with a very nice surplus. Now we're seeing a couple of things. People are reticent to move because they know they can't get as much bang for their buck, so to speak. And as a knock-on impact to that, the price differential from downsizing is not as appealing as it once was. So the trend is that people are staying in their homes for longer, making it more accessible or senior friendly through renovations. And then as another outcome of not having that surplus and downsizing, they may make a suite that could be rented out and therefore being providing a source of income. Or I've even seen families coming together and living in a detached home. Perhaps mom and dad have the top part of the house and their son or daughter, along with their own family, may live in the basement or vice versa. So again, it's this concept of adapting to the current environment we're in. Maria, what are some other challenges or trends that you've seen?
Yeah, so people are living longer, staying healthier for longer, and even working longer. This helps with some of the challenges that we've already listed above. And frankly, I think it's a great thing. This concept of putting a hard stop or an end date to work is slowly becoming a thing of the past. And from what I've seen, people want to continue to work, to contribute, to be useful. And in many cases, as Janet talked about inflation earlier, it's also a way to generate a steady source of income when it's needed. Overall, I think this is a positive thing. Of course, there are some things to consider if a person is going to be receiving income still in their late 60s and even in their 70s, especially as it pertains to receiving government benefits. So that's something to keep in mind when you're doing your planning. So, Janet, we could easily dig into all of these. And I'm just wondering, is there anything else you want to add?
Yeah, sure. I'll add one last thing. So I think if we look back, parents tended to be more discreet and sometimes even secretive about their financial situation, even within the family. But I've seen now an increased transparency where parents are tending to be more upfront, and maybe open is the better word, in terms of communicating with their children when it comes to the will. Now, whether this is done in order to mitigate potential animosity between siblings, or sometimes it doesn't have to be that dramatic, of course, but it's a way to set expectations. For example, and this could be in conjunction with the giving while you're living that you spoke of earlier, Maria. So it's maybe it's we're giving each child 100,000 now, and the rest will be divided upon passing. And I think this is a step in the right direction, depending on the context of a particular family's dynamics. But having things more out in the open is probably a healthy course of action, so that there's no negative surprises when opening the will. It is obviously a delicate situation, but it's something I've certainly witnessed, this openness between parents and their adult children. Maria, do you want to summarize now what we've discussed today?
Yeah, so summing it all up, inflation is sticky, as we say, so be prudent in your financial plans in order to account for this. More and more parents are gifting to their adult children while they're still alive. It's not everyone, but it's certainly a trend that we've seen. Also, downsizing is not what it was, so there's a need to plan accordingly. People are living longer, they're working longer, and that's a potential positive to one's financial planning, but it could require some thought as it pertains to when to take government benefits. People are having more open discussions with their household when it comes to their finances, and we think this is great too.
Thanks, Maria. Now, again, we must emphasize that this is not a one size fits all. And really, we're just pointing out some of the interesting trends or shifting mindsets, especially in today's environment, that we get to observe in our day-to-day interactions with clients. So I hope that this has been interesting and illuminating. Is there a particular topic you'd like us to cover? Please let us know, and we hope to see you on our next edition of Your Wealth Matters. Bye-bye.